Well, hello and welcome to another Faith, Philosophy and Life. Me, Mr. Shelton. It's great to see you. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Dear Nietzsche said that. Do you agree with that? Is that just quite randomly wrong? Or do you think, good point with that? Remember, we're thinking about good and evil. In the last couple of lessons we've thought about the nature of God. Before that we thought about evil and suffering. And today we're going to come back to a bit of suffering. Everyone likes a bit of suffering, don't they? Yeah, that just sounded a bit wrong. Anyway, go and grab your pen and paper because here's a bit of suffering. That's our cheesy intro music. So our title today is How Does Theology Help Us with Suffering? How does theology help us with suffering? Theology being the study of God. So today we're going to explore how Jesus, the cross and virtues can help Christians understand suffering. As always, do pause me as we go because you'll need to make some notes. It's going to be a good outcome if you can describe how the cross helps people understand God's response to suffering. It's great if you can explain what the Salvific dolores, sounds like a DeLorean from Back to the Future, teaches, and even better if you can think if this is actually a satisfactory response to suffering or not. And we've talked obviously a lot of reasons why Christians might give about suffering, and we're going to think about the Christian value of hope today, and we're obviously going to be listening for meaning as well with some of the things that we do. During today's lesson we've got key words, we've got the cross, we've got the voice, we've got the Bible, it must be a the, and then you've got Salvific dolores. Couple of terms just to be aware of. Again, if you don't know any of these, please make a note of these at this point, because you might get a little bit lost later in the lesson when I assume that you know what we're doing. So make a note of any of those and then come back to me. Okay, so some people look at the cross, the crucifixion of Jesus, and say that was the biggest failure that was possible. And the reason why is that the cross is seen as the ultimate loss. You would only get crucified in the first century if you were particularly bad. And not only were you bad, you were evil. You were someone who tried to subvert other people. You were someone who was an enemy of Rome. So the cross sounds like a curse to the Jews. It's madness to pagans, to non-Christians at the time. To speak about being a crucified Messiah was nonsense to the Jewish people. To the Greeks and the Romans, it was a sign of defeat and weakness, and the crucifixion was a punishment for a slave or a foreigner for the Romans. Even the Romans didn't get crucified. Romans themselves, it was seen as too barbaric. So they only did it to other people. It was an act of humiliation. But the church saw that God, that the man of God was on the cross. And it was this idea that God was meeting humanity in its pain. So the question then says, well, what's God doing about suffering? Well, the answer is look at the crucifix. The idea that God is sorting out the problems of this world through the cross. See, Jesus said if people do not forgive those who sin against them, God will not forgive them. And we're going to think about that more next year when you do the sin and forgiveness unit. But the cross maybe was the ultimate sign of God loving people. But some just don't see it that way. Some see it as a very negative event where it just proves that Jesus wasn't God, because God would not do that to die for other people. So we're going to look at a little bit from the voice now. Hopefully this works. If this doesn't work and you come back to me, I will have put the clip below in the description. If it does work, I won't be putting the clip in the description. I want you to listen to the lyrics of this song. Where is God in suffering? Where is God in suffering? So pin back your ears, sit back, relax, enjoy.
You walked with me, footprints in the sand. You help me understand where I'm going. You walked with me when I'm all alone, with so much I know along the way. Then I heard you say, I promise you I'm always there.
Ongoing.
You find the the sand. When I'm weary, I know you will be there until when say, I promise you I'm always there. When your heart is filled with sorrows and despair, I'll carry you when you need a friend. You'll find my footprints in the sand.
Okay, so hopefully you've got the idea there that God is with you in the suffering, okay, in the hard times. Think back to our objectives. How does theology help us with suffering? So we're going to do a little mind map or bullet point list now. What does the Bible teach us about reconciliation? What does the Bible teach us about reconciliation? So just do a little mind map now, and then we'll come back to me. So reconciliation then is the idea of reforming relationships, bringing people back together again after a very difficult time. And we've talked quite a lot already previously in this unit about the idea of salvation. If you don't know what I'm talking about, do go back and have a look at my salvation lesson, because it's quite important. And if you can't find that, have a look under the sin and forgiveness unit as well. It's a year 11 topic maybe, but I do go over that there as well for you. So what we need to do is we need to have an understanding about what the Bible teaches about reconciliation. So again, in the description below, you'll see an information hunt, a treasure hunt pack. I'd like you to get that up and then start to make some notes around your mind map about what the Bible teaches about reconciliation. Try and get as much as you've done, but give yourself about 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops on this, because you don't need to write it all down, but you do need to have a flavour of it. So do that and then come back to me when you're done. Okay, so here's a little situation. My question is, how would you feel about God? Your mother died when this person was 8 years old. Your older brother and only sibling died 4 years later when he was 12. Your dad died when he was 20. You lived through World War II without any family to support. And you were shot for no reason and nearly died from your injuries. How would you feel about God if you were that person? I am talking about St. Pope John Paul II. He wrote a letter called Servilci Dolores, which means Christian meaning of human suffering. His key theme is love, and love is shown by Christ on the cross. All of that happened to him, which is really powerful. If he then writes a missive, a letter about human suffering. can you make a note of some of that in your book and then come back to me. So what we're going to do now is I'd like you to do another little mind map. I'm going to put some information up behind me. I'm not going to read it out to you. And again, I'd like you to write some more information down. There's some there already there for you that you can put down around your mind map. Obviously shrink it down. You don't need to be putting a huge amount of detail in, because anything you write, you've got to remember for the exam. So just try and choose the key parts. So have a look at that, and when you're done, I'll put the next bit behind me. There's a bit more. Some more. Some more. So, what does it say about evil and suffering, and what are the Christian responses to this? What you will find is you will now find, again, if you use the information below, a little worksheet there for you to complete. This is probably going to run on to homework as well in reality, because there's quite a lot there. Again, the more information you can get down, the better. So have a look at that. Before you move on, that's sort of a conclusion for what we're going to do during today's lesson. So I think that's a good place to end for the day. So take care of yourself, stay safe, wash your hands, God bless you. I'll be seeing you soon.